biggest event in 2 million years is about to go to a whole new dimension.
Nobody move a muscle.
On July 4th,
We've been living above an entire world, and we didn't even know it.
I feel so puny.
the bravest heroes in history will boldly go where no other mammals would dare. Ray Romano,
He'll bounce back. It's one of the advantages of being Sid.
John Leguizamo,
I'm a mommy.
Dennis Leary,
For the record, I blame you for this.
and Queen Latifah.
Ellie!
Talk to the trunk.
Scrat, and introducing Scrat-A. This summer, get ready.
You don't spit out little Johnny. We're leaving the playground this instant. Oh, there we are. A picture of health.
That's not little Johnny.
Well, better than nothing.
For the dawn of a new age. Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs.
Maybe you're hungry. I know just the thing.
Sid, whatever you're doing, it's a bad idea.
Hush, you mean this is animal? I'm your baby, and this is mine.
I thought you were a female!
Only in theaters, 4th of July weekend in digital 3D.
And then after that, it was all downhill from there. Okay, at the end, they did kind of save it with the Scrat Tales show on Disney+. And we've got a new Ice Age movie coming out next year, so fingers crossed that they can turn it around, maybe, but yeah, this is the 3rd installment of the Ice Age series, and in this one, we have Manny and Ellie expecting a baby. Diego's afraid that he's losing his mojo, and Sid finds 3 eggs and becomes a mother. Crash and Eddie are still there, even though they really don't have much to do in this one, per se. And Scrat falls for a female squirrel called Scrat-A, and also wants his acorn back as well. Okay, there's not really a whole lot of story there, but the film story kicks in when 3 eggs that Sid find are actually dinosaur eggs and grow into 3 baby dinosaurs. When the little dinosaur's mama sees that Sid has taken her kids, she takes them and Sid into the lost world of the dinosaurs underneath the icy world that our heroes live on. Because why the fuck not? I mean, what is we're really gonna question logic now? But yeah, it works in the favor of this movie, and you know the story deepens from there because while they're down there, they meet a crazy adventurer named Buck Wild, played by Simon Pegg, hilariously by Simon Pegg, who's hunted the biggest dinosaur in the land, simply known as Rudy. After it took Buck's right eye, and Buck took one of its teeth and uses it as a weapon. Yeah, this is a film that is all over the place, but it works. And not only does it works really, really well. This is, without a doubt, the pinnacle of the Ice Age series. Because, yeah, as time has gone on, I've realized, yeah, this movie is actually a whole lot better than I ever thought it was. Not to say that I didn't think it was bad before. The first time I saw it, I just thought it was just okay. It was nothing too incredible, nothing too amazing. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, more enjoyable than the other 2 films are. I think this is where they really went in on, just said, you know, because I think there was the belief that this was going to be the end of the series. I mean, it's the 3rd installment of the series. You got your trilogy. So go ahead and end it on a high note. And Blue Sky Studios has definitely evolved in the 7 years since the first Ice Age movie came out. So we're going to see some really good animation. And not to mention, we're going to see the usage of 3D. And this was a movie that really used its 3D very, very well. I mean, this was still a relatively new technology that a lot of movies are trying to do. And, you know, we had these animated movies that are using it really for the first time. I mean, Bolt did it last year, then Up did it a couple weeks ago, and now Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. And they're showing that they can work with the material given to them, and they do a pretty good job of making it work. It really works all the way. I mean, right from the beginning with this really impressive-looking 3D logo from 20th Century Fox that they made specifically for this movie. which for some reason, if you watch the 2D version of it, it's not anywhere on the DVDs or Blu-rays. I don't know if they put it on there later on with releases that came afterwards, but if you watch it on Freeform, they do put it back on there, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it might be on streaming too, maybe it might be on Disney Plus, and I just haven't gotten a chance to look at it. I haven't watched it on Disney Plus in a while, but yeah, this is overall a really good movie, and I like the fact that everybody kind of has their own story arc going on in this movie. You know, everybody has a purpose to being there, with kind of the exception of maybe Crash and Eddie, who just kind of are there to just be kind of stock comic relief, even though they're still part of the story a little bit. Like, you can definitely tell they are kind of the weak links in this movie. Even Ellie and Diego have kind of a subplot where they're kind of pushed off to the side a little bit, but it does eventually come back in the second half, especially in the climax when they have to work together when they're underneath the dinosaur world. But really, the star of the movie is Buck, played by Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg's having an incredible summer with this and Star Trek, being the breakout stars of those movies. I mean, he is really good in this movie. He has a ton of the best moments in the film. He's kind of the equivalent to Robin Williams, that's the genie in Aladdin. This is Simon Pegg's genie. I mean, he just plays this part to a T, and you get the feeling that he improvised a ton of stuff in this movie, and they just said, just go with it, and we'll see what works. And yeah, it's really hilarious stuff. The stuff he does in this film is so well done. It's so hilarious and very good. The animation overall is really good. And yeah, you can question the logic of how dinosaurs exist in this world, you know, in the same time period as you know, Eskimos and all that type of stuff and what we had beforehand. But the logic really does not really matter here. As long as you're getting, as long as you're getting entertainment value from this, it really should not matter to you whatsoever. And you get a lot of good entertainment value in here. The subplot with Gladden and this female squirrel is actually pretty good too, and it actually kind of plays into the story as well. Like, slowly but surely, they were starting to realize that maybe we should have Scrat interact more with the story. They didn't fully go all in with it with the next couple of movies, but yeah, it really was something where it's just kind of like here. It's about as close as you're going to get to it being a major part of the storyline, and I think it works very, very well. If there's any flaws to the movie overall, the big baddie in this movie, you know, the thing that Buck is going after, Rudy, like, you think it's, like, building it up, they're building it up to be, like, this big, dominant threat. Like, this is supposed to be, like, the equivalent of Sharptooth from The Land Before Time. It's just like, you don't want to fuck with this guy whatsoever. You finally get to him at the end, and it's just kind of like, oh, he's just a normal-looking, venomous dinosaur with red eyes. Okay, and, yeah, there really is nothing about it that works whatsoever. Maybe if they kind of tied it into the mother in this, of the dinosaurs, maybe it's actually the father or something like that, maybe you could have had something there, but other than that, he's just kind of a generic bad guy, pretty much, that they kind of throw in there at the last minute. Kind of like with the two creatures from the last movie, Ice Age: The Meltdown, who really didn't do a whole lot. They were just kind of there to be set up as the bad guys for the climax of the film, and that's kind of like what happens here. But then again, nothing really. It's just kind of a nitpicky thing per se, but I enjoyed a whole lot of the movie. I even like the fact that they do tackle some stuff here that you wouldn't expect here, like the whole idea of, you know, parenthood, what it means to be a parent. Like, you have these two elephants who are about to have a kid, and the father elephant is really nervous about becoming a parent, and meanwhile you have Sid finding these 3 eggs, and all of a sudden he could instantly become a mother, and just like that. It's just kind of like, it's really funny how this whole thing sets up, and it's done very well. I think you know, aspiring young parents really can relate to something like this about, you know, what you're in for when you're about to have a kid, and you know, you don't really expect that from a movie like this. Keep in mind, this is 10 years before Pixar was eventually before Blue Sky eventually became a part of Disney. So yeah, it's something really impressive that this film was able to do. That's why I kind of give this movie more of an appreciation nowadays than I would have had almost 16 years ago. Because yeah, back then I liked the film, but I still didn't think it was as good as the original film. But now I can definitely see that this probably is the overall best film of the series in terms of animation, in terms of storytelling, in terms of the comedy, in terms of the voice work. Just everything about it just works really, really well, and I'm glad I got a chance to rewatch it again and see that, yeah, it actually is something that is much more than I thought it was. It was a really entertaining film. It was a really good movie. It could have been a good way to end the series. And then they had to ruin it with the sequels, Continental Drift and Collision Course, which, yeah, I saw Continental Drift in theaters, which basically I only went to see that because of the Simpsons short, but we'll get to that in 2012. And then I didn't even bother seeing Collision Course until well after it came out. Like, it was just... Because at that point, they were really struggling to find a way to keep that series going afloat. And even when they did the Disney Plus movie with Buck Wild, which should have been awesome, but it just really... It was really terrible. I think it ended up being the worst movie I saw in 2022 because of just how choppy and how bad the animation was, and just what a waste of time that was. Just could have been so much more, which I was surprised that Scrat Tales ended up being as good as it was, because, yeah, it was really good on Disney Plus, and that was the last thing Blue Sky did before the studio shut down, unfortunately. And now they're working on the 6th Ice Age movie, which I'm willing to give it more of a chance because Disney's now involved in it, and, I'd be curious to see what they can do with it, per se. Hopefully it can work out, but, I mean, it can't be any worse than what Continental Drift or Collision Course or The Adventures of Buck Wild, ended up being. It's got to be better than those. I'd have to think it's got to be better than those. There's no reason why you would bring this back, except if you have an idea to actually continue the story along, but... Then again, maybe it is that, but I don't know. We'll all figure that out when we see it next Christmas, in 2026. Not this Christmas coming up, but the next one, But bottom line, Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs, probably my favorite one of the entire series, and that's one that I'm glad I got to watch it again to realize that, because it is definitely a whole lot better than I gave it credit for beforehand. It's a really good movie. It's one I highly recommend checking out. So that's Ice Age: Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here. It's the latest film from Michael Mann, Johnny Depp and Christian Bale starring in Public Enemies.
How long does it take you to go through a bank?
About 1 minute, 40 seconds. Flat.
On July 1st.
Your task will be to get John Dillinger. Are you up to that task?
Absolutely, sir.
Meet the man
You're too good for him. They ain't tough enough, smart enough, or fast enough.
behind the myth.
The whole country thinks you're a damn hero.
So later, we'll get John Dillinger.
Well, we'll see about that.
Public Enemies, rated R. In theaters July 1st.
The end of a pretty promising decade for Michael Mann. He made a lot of really good movies. Ollie, Collateral, his last film, Miami Vice, was very underrated. And this one is probably the weakest one of the three, but it's still pretty good. You have a story taking place during the Great Depression and chronicling the final years of the notorious bank robber John Dillinger, played by Johnny Depp, as he's pursued by FBI agent Melvin Purvis. It's just a weird name, played by Christian Bale. Dillinger's relationship with Billy Fricci, played by Marion Cotillard, Bruce Wayne meeting up with Talia al Ghul later, is of course 3 years later in The Dark Knight Rises, as well as Purvis's pursuit of Dillinger's associates and fellow criminals. You have a cast also includes Jason Clarke, Stephen Dorff, David Wenham, Stephen Graham, Lily Sobieski, Stephen Lang, I said Stephen Dorff, but yeah, this is a movie that at the time it came out, it didn't really do that much in general in terms of like getting people that excited for it. It kind of underperformed at the box office, and I can definitely see why. One of the biggest problems with the movie right from the get-go is the fact that they used HD cameras in this film. And I know that Michael Mann is all in on the HD camera concept, and it works for a film like Collateral or Miami Vice, but when you do a period piece movie set in the 1930s during the Great Depression and during the storyline where it's supposed to be, you're supposed to feel like you're in the 1930s, it really doesn't work here. For some reason, like, it's hard for me to distance this from something that is something that's supposed to take place in the 30s or something that's supposed to take place in the 2000s, just like how Miami Vice and Collateral did it. Those films worked because they did that so well. But in this movie, it really takes you out of it right away, and it just kind of ruins the ebb and flow of the movie. And, there's also a scene where, Dillinger gets out of prison for the second time, and he's constantly forced the cops to open the doors, and the cops on the other side opens the door. And I kept thinking to myself, these have got to be some of the dumbest security guards ever. And, it says something when Paul Blart or Seth Rogen's character from Observer Report could be better security guards than the guys in this movie. And, yeah, stuff like that can take you out of the film pretty quickly. But other than that, though, it's not a bad movie. It is an entertaining, fun film that does deliver. The performances by Depp and Christian Bale are very good. A cast that includes some notable names: Billy Crudup, as I said before, Marion Cotillard, Giovanni Ribisi, Lily Sobieski. I mean, there's definitely a lot of good performances in here, and the action could still be pretty intense to watch. There is still a lot of really good elements to the film. I think the settings overall the way they recreated the 1933's Sioux Falls, they do a pretty good job of handling that overall. It's definitely not a good movie. It's definitely probably one of Michael Moore's more weaker films, but in a decade that includes Ali, Collateral, and Miami Vice, that's a pretty good decade for Michael Mann. And really, this is honestly his last great film that he made, because the next two films he would make, Ferrari and Black Hat, were really, really underwhelming films. And Black Hat was just a terrible movie, because it was just so bland and boring. Nothing really happened in that movie. And, that's probably the worst movie Michael Mann has ever attached himself to. But this one right here, it's still good enough for me to say it's definitely worth a watch. It doesn't rank up there with the top gangster movies like The Untouchables or Godfather or American Gangster, but it's still good enough to see. I think you should see it. You're going to be distracted a lot by the HD cameras in here, but once you get past that, the film overall can work as a whole. It's definitely got a lot of flaws to it, but overall, I enjoyed it for what it was. I think it was still a really enjoyable film. It definitely could have been a whole lot better, but it is what it is. So yeah, I say watch it. Just don't go in there expecting it to be a great gangster classic by any means. So, that's Public Enemies for you.
Ooh, East calling.
Will you remember what I look like? Most likely.
Ooh, East.
Fantastic!
Take it off!
Ooh, East.
You gotta be out of your mind. What type build is that, candidate? DMG. What is DMG? Don't sound Tabana. Hello? Hello?
East rated R.
So this is, of course, Sacha Baron Cohen taking another one of his characters from the Ali G show and bringing it into a movie. It's worked before twice, Ali G in the House and also Borat. But in this one, you have him playing gay Austrian fashion guru Bruno, who has his own fashion-based TV show, Funky Zeit, the most popular German-language show of its kind outside of Germany. After he disgraces himself in front of his I can't even remember the name now, Funky Zeit fan base, he is ruined in German-speaking Europe. He decides that in a quest for worldwide fame, he will move to Los Angeles and reinvent himself. Accompanying him to the U.S. is Lutz, his former assistant's assistant, the only person left in the circle that still believes in Bruno's greatness. Bruno goes through one reinvention of himself after another, ultimately straying to areas far removed from his true self. Perhaps when Bruno finds an activity that he truly loves, he will also find the uber fame he so desperately deserves. So let's talk about this movie, because even when this movie came out, I came out of it liking it okay, but it was definitely a major step down from Borat when I remember seeing it back in the day. It just felt like it was way too much of Sacha Baron Cohen trying to do the same thing he did with Borat all over again. And yeah, there are times when their cameos in here can actually be funny. There's a great one with Harrison Ford, which has a great quick payoff almost immediately after he says that he's going to talk to him. But other than that, though, there really is nothing else here with this movie that kind of works. It's a film that, back then, I was just kind of like, it's alright, let it slide. But I had yet to see it again in the 16 years since I've seen this movie. And watching it again recently to get ready for this, yeah, this thing does not hold up well at all. This thing is pretty bad. I mean, this is definitely a major step down compared to Borat. Borat, I thought, worked mostly because they were smart in how they did all the skits and all that. They were smart at, containing it down to one specific segment. They weren't trying to go completely over the top or crazy or gonzo nuts with it. This one literally goes gonzo nuts with literal male anatomy in front of the screen. Like, there's literally a more than 10-second shot of a penis flying on the screen. I remember seeing the movie for the first time and thinking to myself, like, oh, whoa, that was not... Okay, I was kind of expecting it to happen, but not for that long of length. Like, it was on there for a good chunk of time, and it's just kind of like, if it was maybe like a brief second or something like that, maybe it would be funny, but no, it goes on for multiple seconds. It just kind of goes like, okay, wrap it up already, because it happens so many times throughout the course of this movie. It happens so many times that this thing actually made some history in a way that they probably weren't expecting it to, because not but a year after this movie came out, the MPAA's Classification and Ratings Administration had to specifically know in the future when films were going to contain male nudity, and it was because of this movie right here. Like, it was really just kind of like, yeah, like, I guess you could say that's part of a history now, but is that really one of the history you want to be part of here? Just giving the MPAA another reason to classify your movie for something that really is not really affecting anything whatsoever, but then again, maybe in this case it probably did, but on top of that, the segments themselves aren't really all that funny. Like, a lot of the segments they have in here don't really amount to anything. There was a big deal when, there was a part where, Bruno was trying to seduce Ron Paul, the politician, and at the time, yeah, it was funny, but watching it again, it's just kind of like, yeah, nothing really is going on here. There was a Michael Jackson scene they had to cut out because he had passed away 2 weeks before the movie came out, and as far as I know, well, no, maybe it is still it is considered on it is on the DVD and Blu-ray features on there. I mean, technically it doesn't have Michael Jackson in it. It mostly focuses on LaToya Jackson, but it is something that, yeah, considering he just died 2 weeks before the movie came out, it really isn't a surprise why they took that scene out in particular. But even then, that scene in particular was just kind of like, not so much. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, the film, I think the biggest problem with the film is that it tries way too hard to copy the success of Borat, and really fails miserably. The one segment that was supposed to be like the big selling point in the trailers was when, he adopts this black baby and he goes on this talk show, and I think I realized now that maybe I just was not a fan of the daytime talk shows to begin with, because I've had this problem with several movies in the past. I've talked about it with Hope Floats. I hate it when they use that as a plot point. And I also hated it in Little Black Book when it was used as the climax. And here, yeah, it's definitely not very good in this movie. It's just all it is basically just like, let's have all these people in this audience get offended in the most ridiculous ways possible because they're getting paid $50 and they know exactly what's going to happen here. Like, they were in on this whole thing all along. And it was just like they're trying way too hard to get the laughs in here. Like, it really is not that funny. It really is not. I'm trying to get some laughs out of this movie, and it's just kind of like, I just don't like the daytime talk show being used as a plot point here. There's only been one time in movies when that has actually worked, and that's in Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me with the Jerry Springer segment. Like, that was funny. But that was because, Mike Myers and Seth Green were playing their parts very well. And yeah, it's a funny parody of the Jerry Springer Show. Not like the Ringmaster movie where that's supposed to be a parody of it, but no, it was just a rip-off of Private Parts because Howard Stern was successful at it. So clearly Jerry Springer could make that success as well. But I don't know. I just think I've come to the point that, yeah, the whole thing with the talk show, daytime talk show thing, like, that's a cliche that I really don't like in movies anymore, and that's something that should definitely be considered one of those cliches that I wish can go away. And hopefully, I think it has gone away since then, because I haven't seen it being used that often in movies since this. But like I said before, the movie just isn't funny. It doesn't have that same spark or same electricity as Borat did. Borat was at least worked because more people didn't know what the hell was going on. With Bruno, you get the sense now that everybody kind of is in on the joke, and it basically just says, let's just do this, and, let's hope people don't know who this guy is. It's weird because it's really a one-trick thing with him with Borat. And I think because why Borat 2 worked a couple years ago, even though it had been almost 15 years after the last movie, nobody really heard from Borat all that often. Borat hasn't been released on Blu-ray to this very day. I mean, you can't get it on 4K on it. I think it's still only available on DVD, but it worked 15 years later because nobody had seen Borat in a long, long time, and it made sense for what they were trying to do there. The comedy in that sequel worked very well, not to mention that it came out in 2020, which of course was a COVID year, but this was them really pushing their luck in what they did before. It was them literally trying to copy the success of the previous movie, which I guess it worked because it still made 3 times how much it cost to make, almost 4 times what it cost to make. But even then, it's still seen as kind of a letdown compared to Borat. Borat, I think, was the much funnier film, and yeah, it was something where they just should have stopped it there. Trying to do this again really hurt it in the long run. Like, it just doesn't work. It really doesn't work at all. It's kind of a lackluster film in general, so yeah, overall, Bruno's not that good of a movie, and it's one that I was kind of expecting it not to be as funny as it was before, but yeah, this thing has not aged well at all. This thing is pretty lousy overall, at least in my opinion it is, So anyway, that is Bruno, but what about that other movie, the one that I thought was gonna not hold up well at all, and surprisingly did? Chris Columbus's I Love You, Beth Cooper.
Your valedictorian. I would like to say here today the one thing I will regret if I never say. I love you, Beth Cooper. And yes, when I graduate, I'm not gonna keep hanging around my old high school like some kind of creepy loser who can't get an adult girlfriend. You know who you are.
You embarrassed me, but it was so sweet. I'll have to let you live.
On July 10th.
There's a little soiree at my house tonight.
Well, maybe we can stop by.
It's the Trinity.
She's everything he ever wanted.
Don't be so nervous, you can smell fear.
Ooh, fear.
And one thing he never expected. Prepare to die.
Kevin, stop!
He is going to kill me.
Now the girl of his dreams.
Sorry, I was unaware. I was admitting that.
Is going to show him the night of his life.
You have never been with a woman. Susie Q's, yum.
My mom says yum.
Yeah.
Not like that. Thanks. You hit me with your car. That's pretty cool.
From 20th Century Fox.
Chances like this don't come along every day. This does not happen.
Showers! Don't be shy.
Oh.
Still love me.
I love you, Beth Cooper.
All my memories from high school are from tonight. Yes, this is a polycarbonate blade.
You gotta get out more often.
So yeah, this is one that when I saw it back in the day, I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not really getting into it. Mostly because I thought the first half of it was pretty much kind of mediocre overall, and just really kind of didn't go anywhere. But then the second half started to turn around, and then it really did get back on track. And overall, I came out of the movie thinking it was just okay, but I really was this close to giving it a really, really terrible review. It was really going to be one of the worst comedies that I'd seen that year. But 16 years have passed, and I will say I like it a lot. I like it a little bit better than I did before. Not to say that it's a great movie overall, but it certainly is slightly better than I gave it credit for back then. In the story, you have a valedictorian, Dennis Cooperman, played by Paul Rust from Semi-Pro, who tells the entire gymnasium that he's been in love with Beth Cooper for 6 years during their graduation. Beth, played by Hannah Panettiere, is of course the cheerleader, because why not? Not like there was any other TV show at the time where she was playing a cheerleader, so. But she finds it, quote, sweet, end quote, and it gives Dennis the courage to invite her to a party at his house later on that night. She shows up and brings two of her friends, played by Lauren London and Lauren Storm, and Beth's boyfriend Kevin, along with his army buddies, show up to try to kill him, and the ladies help him and his friend Rich, played by Jack T. Carpenter, out of the house, and it ends up becoming the greatest night of their lives. So it's Chris Columbus essentially returning to an adventures in babysitting type of storyline, where he's returning back to what he did back in the day. Like, he did write blockbusters, but he wasn't directing like blockbusters like Home Alone 1 and 2 or the Harry Potter movies. Like, he was directing more straightforward coming-of-age movies like Adventures in Babysitting, which was a great movie. He also did Heartbreak Hotel, which, not so much. And then he did, of course, Home Alone, and that's where he essentially became the big blockbuster movie guy. But, as I said before, the first half I thought overall started off really slow. I mean, there was a lot of jokes about how the character of Rich is not gay, and how every line from every movie he says has to be said to a person. Like, there's a point where, you have Dennis's father, played by Alan Ruck, saying "Carpe diem," seize the day. And then Rich then goes, "Oh, Robin Williams, Dead Poets Society, 1989, director Peter Weir." He kept doing that throughout the entire movie, and I get it. He's a nerd, he's a movie geek and all, but I'm a movie geek too, but you don't see me going around to people when I tell them movie quotes or when I hear movie quotes and say, like, "Oh, that's from Space Jam, 1996. Joe Pitka directed that one." Like, I'm not doing that because I know that's not what people want to hear. It's just like, Like, the most I would do is, I got the reference right there. I'm like the Captain America meme, which is like, I understood that reference, but here it's just kind of like, it's done throughout the entire movie, and that shtick gets old really, really quickly. And then there was another character I didn't like in there, Treese, played by Lightstorm from the game plan, which in that role in the game plan, it worked because it was a brief moment, it was a brief bit with her, and it was actually kind of funnier, being kind of the over-exaggerated potential babysitter of the Rock's kid in that movie. And yeah, it worked because it was there for like a couple of seconds, but yeah, it's just like, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to set her up to be like a dumb blonde, but when you hear her talk all the way in this movie, just the way she says these lines, it's just kind of like, oh God, please take the camera off her, please. Yeah, and yeah, consider, that's how I felt back then, and watching it again, it's just kind of like, yeah, this isn't quite working, this isn't holding up well, so I was still going in with trepidations, but then, you know, the second half of the film begins, when we start to get more character development, and it becomes more of the adventure outside of the house. They're going out in the night, during the night, it's like Superbad, kind of, and the jokes start to get more funnier, and we do start to get more attached to these characters overall, and yeah, I like the fact that they do expand on the characters overall, like Beth is seen as the popular girl in school, but then, as Paul Rush's character over the night finds out, not only does he not know too much about her overall, and more like she's a normal person, but he doesn't even realize that he doesn't really, when he says he loves Beth Cooper, like, I think he likes the idea of Beth Cooper as a whole, and, I mean, in high school, I could definitely see where that guy's coming from, because I would think to myself, wow, I love this person, but I don't really know anything about them, per se, because I'm more of I'm essentially an incel person, like, I'm not really a social person in general, so, I mean, I guess it's because maybe I can relate to Paul Rush in this movie that I kind of found myself attached to the storyline as a whole. But like I said, the second half is where the jokes start to get more funnier. We do start caring more about the characters, even though many of the same jokes in the first half still fall flat. Because everything else around it is working a whole lot more. It is less distracting overall, and it does get better once the second half begins. I thought the two stronger performances did come from Hayden Panettiere. I thought she was on her way to becoming a really good actor, something like what Cameron Diaz used to do back in the day, but like when her career got started. I thought that was where the direction she was going to go, and unfortunately she hasn't really done that per se. She still has been some stuff that's been pretty good. Nashville, she was actually really good on that show. I'm trying to think of what else. She really hasn't done much since then, except for the Scream movies, where, you know, she's been okay in those movies overall. And, you know, another one I was really surprised I kind of enjoyed in this was Lauren London, who had been in some other stuff we've talked about before. This Christmas, ATL. She was one of the few things I liked in Next Day Air. And she was Turtle's girlfriend on Entourage for a little bit. But even in a movie like this, where she, you know, you can't, I mean, she was 25 when this kit was released, and yeah, it's kind of hard to buy her as a high school student, but for what they did with her in this movie, it worked fine, and I thought she had some good moments in there overall. And it's Chris Columbus. I think Chris Columbus, like I said before, I like the fact that he went back to his roots with this movie, because this is a guy that started his career off directing mostly associating his work with the John Hughes movies. He wrote a lot of those movies. He wrote stuff even mixed in with the stuff that he wrote, like Gremlins and The Goonies, like he did, of course, as I mentioned, Adventures in Babysitting, Home Alone, like those comedies as well. It's nice to see him getting back to a return to form, even though I thought the direction overall here was subpar for the most part. I still like this movie. I still think it is a pretty solid movie overall. It's a film that you have to get through the first half. The first half really is the weak link of the movie. But once the second half gets going, once they're on the road and go on this crazy adventure in the nighttime, that's where the fun really comes into play with this movie. I think it is an overall really enjoyable movie that it takes a little bit to get there, but once it gets there, it's worth it. It's worth going along the ride. If you like stuff like Adventures in Babysitting or License to Drive or Superbad, these movies where they take the main characters on this adventure outside of their home and into this crazy world that we live in, I mean, it works there. I think it works very well for the most part. So overall, not a great movie, but certainly not the bad movie that I thought it was back in the day. It's definitely gotten better with time. It's a film I'd say it's worth checking out. I love you, Beth Cooper.
Wondering why I brought you here tonight.
Actually, sir, after all these years, I just sort of go with it.
Take my arm.
Harry, I
I'd like you to meet Professor Horace Lacroix.
What you see before you is a curious little potion. It does cause powerful infatuation or obsession.
I'm in love with her. All right, fine, you're in love with her. Have you ever actually met her? Yeah. Can you introduce me?
This year, the past holds a dark secret.
What you are looking at are memories. This is the most important memory I've collected.
Now get out of here at once.
It is also a lie.
And only he
You're the chosen one, Harry.
can unlock the truth.
Hey, she's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
But I am the chosen one. Okay, sorry. Kidding.
From Warner Brothers Pictures.
Without this memory, we leave the fate of our world to chance. You must not fail.
You need us, Harry.
Fight back, you coward!
As I said before, this is the penultimate story of the Harry Potter series before you eventually get to the Deathly Hallows, which, of course, will be split into 2 movies because, hey, Back to the Future and The Matrix and Pirates of the Caribbean did it, so why not with Harry Potter? But, this one in particular follows Harry's 6th year at Hogwarts as he receives a mysterious textbook, falls in love, and attempts to retrieve a memory that holds the key to Lord Voldemort's downfall. And kind of like what I've said before with the other Harry Potter movies, I mean, this is a series that continues to get bigger and much more darker and much more intriguing as the series goes on. And it continued all the way up into the last movie of the series in general. I mean, the series, of course, started off as mostly kids' movies and then eventually grew into what they are becoming now. They're building the story up here, and they're building up the expectations of where you expect this is going to go. And there are notable differences from the book overall in this, but kind of like my thoughts on the other movies in general, this is a really good movie. It's a really good film because you've grown so attached to these actors as these characters. The characters they do bring in here, like, there's some big breakout performances in here from people like, Helena Bonham Carter, Jim Broadbent. You see a little bit of what Ray Fiennes will eventually bring to the table once we get to the Deathly Hallows. Actually, I take that back. He's not in this movie. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I could have sworn he was in here because he was in Goblet of Fire. He was also in Order of the Phoenix. But no, he's not in this movie, even though in the beginning you could still feel his presence there, even though Ray Fiennes is not there. But you can still sense the fact that he's there, waiting in the backgrounds, waiting, of course, for that moment when he's going to go and fight Harry Potter in the next story. And yeah, it does a very good job of handling that in particular. I apologize for misguiding you into thinking that he was in this movie. I thought he was in there, but no, he's not in this movie. But either way, this is still a really good movie. It has a really solid cast once again, and for a movie that's 2.5 hours long, it never overstays its welcome because you're so invested in what's going on. The more darker visual look of the film is played out very well here. David Yates and Steve Kloves writing the script for this once again, and Yates directing once again. I mean, I've criticized the guy for sticking with the series all the way through Fantastic Beasts, but the Fantastic Beasts series in general has just not been as strong as the Harry Potter series has been. I mean, this series of Harry Potter movies still holds up way better than any of those Fantastic Beasts movies will ever do. And it's really not hard to see why, because those Fantastic Beasts movies are really just pointless movies. They don't really add anything to what we already know. Plus, the magic just isn't there compared to the original Harry Potter films in general. Not much more to say about this one, per se, except the fact that it's a really good movie, and not really that much of a surprise in general, and it's leading up to what's eventually going to happen with the Deathly Hallows movies coming up next, so yeah, quick one on that one. That's Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So let's go ahead and get to, overall, the best movie of the entire weekend, one of my favorite movies of the year. That is, of course, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel in the romantic comedy 500 Days of Summer. So, as the trailer shows you a little bit right there, Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a man named Tom, and Zooey Deschanel plays his love interest, Summer, and in a non-linear narrative structure, Tom chronicles the story of his relationship with Summer over the course of 500 days. And you have that trailer there playing that incredible song, The Sweet Disposition by the Temper Trap, which I always thought that was Maroon 5, but no, it's another band, but I wish I could play the rest of the trailer for you, but, you know, copyright issues, and watch, this thing will still get copyrighted, you watch, But anyway, 500 Days of Summer. This is one of the best movies I saw in 2009. I think this is number 10 on my best of the year list, if I'm not mistaken. But I love this movie. It's a great movie featuring two actors I really like. I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Every time he's in a movie, I'm there opening day. I just got to see what he does next, because he has really become one of those great actors that really, whenever he gets involved in something, it's like I'm right there, man. Because like, he's always going to give it 110%. You know, Don John, he's great in Inception, Looper, Hit Record on TV. I was watching that when I was on TV. And you can never go wrong with Zooey Deschanel either. Like, a movie like this shows you that The Happening was just a fluke, and this is a really good comedic actress who has a lot of charm, a lot of charisma, and a lot of good chemistry with her leading man in the movie. And in this case, it's Gordon-Levitt, and yeah, she's absolutely fantastic in here. The comedy is top-notch. There are a lot of good, hard, laugh-out-loud moments in this movie. Even some of the deleted stuff is very funny, too. Like, I always love the, you know, when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is so in love that he's going into this song and dance number with all these different things going on in the background, and there's a deleted scene where the same sequence happens, and when he's down in the dumps, people start beating the shit out of him, and the same people that were Gideon dancing and him in the music montage beforehand. I think there was also some Star Wars characters in there too, and they doing that before. They were happy in the beginning, and then in the second sequence, they're beating the shit out of him. Like, stuff like that is really funny, and there's a lot of that in this movie. Mark Webb directed this movie. Of course, he would later go on to direct the Amazing Spider-Man movies, which I don't like those movies, but really, it's not his fault. Those were basically Sony trying to do something that was different from trying to recreate the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and kind of failed miserably at it. Even though there was a lot of elements in there that were good, but eventually they screwed the pooch on that one. But the script overall is really good. This is written by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber. You know, these are the guys that did the script for just recently the Pink Panther 2. Not recently here, but back in 2009, but they also did The Fault in Our Stars, The Disaster Artist, Rosaline. I mean, these are really good writers in here. They did the Daisy Jones and the Six for Hulu, I think it was, but yeah, this is a really, really good movie that just works on so many levels. Everything works, from the casting, to the writing, to the direction. It's pitch perfect, man. I mean, what more can I say? 500 Days of Summer is a really damn good movie, and one worth checking out. One of the year's best films, no question about it.
For over 100 years, the government has trained and deployed animals as espionage agents. Starting in the Civil War, carrier pigeons delivered messages from the front lines. Later, dolphins were trained to detect mines. But now, there has been a breakthrough that goes beyond anything that science had imagined. A covert espionage team known as G-Force.
This is a rodent.
We're official agents of the FBI. Holla!
Their IQ is off the charts, and their fine motor skills are incredible.
You know that their DNA is 98.7% identical to that of humans, right?
No, how would I know that? Agent Blaster.
Weapons and transportation.
I'm pretty sure this is animal cruelty, but I love it. Yeah!
Agent Juarez.
Martial arts with a secret weapon.
Whoa. Agent Speckles.
Cyber intelligence.
I'm setting up a worm to decipher.
You're a genius.
I'm a mole. I got a thing for worms.
Agent Mooch.
High-tech surveillance.
Agent Darwin.
G-Force team leader.
The fate of the free world rests on my shoulders. Uh-oh.
This might be a good time for a nap.
This summer, our time has arrived.
Your mission is to stop this man, Leonard Saber. He's created a mechanized army that threatens the entire free world.
That's impossible.
The odds are 1,000,000 to 1.
Time to get this party started.
But that's just how they like it.
Hit my ride.
Oh, suck in your gut.
Get ready for a motion picture event in Disney Digital 3D.
You just got outdriven by guinea pigs.
That was off the hook.
Darwin, Blaster, Juarez, Speckle, Smooch.
G-Force.
Ew, Grandpa, what's that?
It's a horrible crime against nature, I think.
So Harry Potter lost to a bunch of farting guinea pig spies? That's got to be embarrassing for Harry Potter. I mean, maybe this is the real evil of the Harry Potter series, not Lord Voldemort. The fact that the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince lost out the second weekend of its box office to a movie called G-Force, which literally features a bunch of CG guinea pigs who are secret agents, and some of them like to fart a lot. I mean, that's literally what happens in this movie. But believe it or not, believe it or not, it's not as bad as you think it is. With that said, though, it's still pretty bad. As I said before, this is a film about a secret organization of guinea pigs who have been trained to be agents, equipped with advanced tools, including an advanced earpiece that allows the mammalian members to talk to humans. You have the team leader, Darwin, played by Sam Rockwell, Juarez, played by Penelope Cruz, Blaster, played by Tracy Morgan, and Speckles, the mole, voiced by Nicolas Cage. I keep forgetting that's him as the voice of him. I thought that was Steve Buscemi, but their keeper is Ben, played by Zach Galifianakis, who's already having a good summer with The Hangover. He's got 2 big hit movies this summer, so you gotta give him that. But when the government shuts them down, the team escapes only to end up in a pet store where they meet 2 other guinea pigs, voiced by Jon Favreau and Steve Buscemi. That's the Steve Buscemi that's the character in this movie, is the other guinea pig. But the team tries to stop an evil villain played by Bill Nighy, who plans world domination with his brand of coffee makers that come to life and turn them into little transformers. Okay, basically they don't call them that, but that's pretty much what they are in this movie. I'm guessing this is Disney's answer to Transformers, because yeah, they literally morph into robots that are literally like the Transformers. But little does the team know that Saber may not be the only one behind all the chaos. And also you see Kelly Garner and also Will Arnett in here as well. And yeah, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of it. This is not a very good movie. I mean, this thing suffers from the typical flaws you can see that I can't stand in the movie. Like I said, the fart jokes. There are 3 different fart jokes on one character played by Jon Favreau, and none of them are clever. Alvin and the Chipmunks at least did it once, and it was kind of funny, but not enough for me to say like it was a great joke or anything, but it was still kind of annoying, but it could have been a whole lot worse. And when I mean a whole lot worse, I mean stuff like Year One and The Love Guru, which had fart jokes every 5 minutes in each of the film. It feels like they put that in there because, you know, it was something to keep the kids invested for some reason, because clearly Disney was on there. When you look at the chart type of mentality with that, but the twist of the end of the film on who the bad guy really is so predictable. From the second you see him on screen, and the second that he dies in the middle of the film, you know he's coming back and he's the real bad guy behind this. But despite all that, there are still some things I kind of enjoyed about the film. For example, the voice work is surprisingly really good. I thought Tracy Morgan was actually a ton of fun in this movie. Like I said, Nicolas Cage as Speckles the Mole was actually kind of amusing. I completely forgot that he was that voice in general. The human roles are fine for what they are. I thought that everybody played their parts very well, with, in general, a lackluster script overall. And also, the 3D also kind of helps the movie in general. This is a film where I don't think it was necessarily all the way shot in digital 3D, but you could definitely tell that if you saw this in theaters in 3D, it did look like they were trying their best to actually make it look like a 3D film. I mean, it looks better than the post-production 3D trend that we're going to get into the year later on, but it's not anywhere near as good as Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs was up to that point, which I thought at that point had the best digital 3D of any film released. But, I mean, it's not the worst thing you could see this summer. I mean, it's something where, you know, you see it, kids will enjoy it for what it is. And certainly considering what comes out next week, one of my worst movie picks of all time, I would rather have them watch this movie than watch the next film we're going to look at next week. The next week meeting the next episode, of course. Not next week we're going to be looking at some... But no, tomorrow, basically, what I'm trying to say. But one thing I do want to bring up, though, is that this director, Hoyt Naiman Jr., it's a name you might not be familiar with, but it's definitely a name that you'll recognize his work for. He actually was part of the team that won the Oscar for making The Abyss. He's worked on a bunch of Jerry Bruckheimer movies. After all, Jerry Bruckheimer is the producer of this. Armageddon, Con Air, The Rock. This was his directorial debut, and so far it's only been his one film that he's ever done, which kind of sucks because it's not badly directed at all. And I mean, this is a guy that probably could have gone a long way as a director as a whole. And the film wasn't even that bad, didn't even underperform. It did pretty well. It made more than two times its budget overall. $292 million over a $150 million budget, which I'm realizing that, yeah, I mean, for 2009, that's still pretty eccentric for an original concept where you have CG guinea pigs in 3D, and yeah, they're secret agents and all that. Yeah, it's a weird movie. It's definitely not as bad as you would think it is, but it's still not a great movie overall. It's still kind of a bland, mediocre film, but I'll give it credit. It was much more enjoyable than I thought it was ever going to be. I mean, it's a film that could have easily been dead on arrival, but for what it is what it is, man. It's not a great movie, but I would say it's a much better movie for the kids out there than what's going to come up the next week after this movie gets released. But once again, we'll delve into that tomorrow. But until then, let's go ahead and move on to, I'd rather watch G-Force again than have to watch the next movie, and that is Katherine Heigl and Gerard Butler starring in The Ugly Truth.
24th, the battle of the sexes is on. I like it all on top. It's Heigl versus Butler.
So you're telling me you've never slept with the Funbag twins?
Who am I to kill the priest?
You're such a man whore.
Let the hot dog hit slowly. The Ugly Truth. May the best sex win. Wow. We should stop doing that?
I think I kind of like it.
Really?
Suck.
Rated R.
So remind me again, Katherine Heigl, why you thought this movie was okay, but Knocked Up was seen as way too sexist. I mean, Jesus Christ, this movie is absolutely abysmal. Like, I didn't hate it back then, but watching it again, it's just kind of like, wow. This is much worse than I thought it was. And it, like I said, it goes against everything that Katherine Heigl said was completely sexist about Knocked Up. Well, you know what? Knocked Up was a much better movie than anything you made after that. Okay, 27 Dresses is the one exception, but then again, that was boasted by, James Marsden. James Marsden can do no wrong pretty much. But in this movie, you have Katherine Heigl starring as a romantically challenged TV producer who can't stand her new male chauvinistic star, Mike, played by Gerard Butler in one of his movies after 300 success, until he agrees to help her find love with her next-door neighbor, using his instincts and expertise, which basically means that that guy is not the future for her. It's gonna be Gerard Butler. I mean, it's literally the same plot we've seen done to death before so many times, except the fact that, this is a comedy that's also an R-rated comedy, so we got to make it more raunchier, we got to make it more grosser than it has to be. And while it doesn't quite go into the sweetest thing territory in terms of its lazy attempts to try to be raunchy and gross, it's pretty close, and it doesn't help that these characters are the most bland stock characters you'll ever come across here. I mean, this is about as generic and as bland of a movie as you're ever going to get here. This is not even a funny movie. The chemistry overall is fine, I guess, but at the same time, you just can't help but look at Katherine Heigl and look at this and go, like, you really thought that this was completely not sexist at all, but that a good movie like Knocked Up or 27 Dresses was just way too much for you. Like, it's just something that, I know I've been saying it a lot during this, but it's just something that you can't just overlook, especially when you see all the stuff that happens in this movie. Like, it goes completely against everything that she believes in. It's basically her being a hypocrite, pretty much. And, again, it's going to amount to the same damn thing we've seen over and over again. She's going to realize that Gerard Butler was truly the man that she needed to be in her life overall, and not the guy next door. And it's just kind of like, I don't care anymore, man. It's just really... This movie got a lot worse in the years since I saw it. I didn't think it was that bad at first. I think I still had the DVD for it, which, when I go through my collection in the next couple of months, it's the one I'm definitely going to be getting rid of, no question about it. But, yeah, bottom line, this movie sucks. This is not a very good movie. It's a lazy film, and, yeah, it didn't work for me. And well, maybe I'm not the only one, because it was panned mostly by critics, but audiences made it a hit, over $200 million worldwide on a $38 million budget, so there you go. And Katherine Heigl was able to make more bad movies after this, and you know what? This is probably one of her better movies considering what's coming up after this, with Killers and also One for the Money, and just these bad movies one after another. Like this, maybe I should be grateful for this, because we're going to get into the real crux of the terrible movies coming up in the next couple of years. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which has gained some new life after being kind of mostly forgotten when it first came out. This is Orphan.
Is this your house?
It's your home too. Once she's inside, you're part of this family. She won't play.
I've learned so much about you and your cheating husband. Why didn't you tell me?
And you will never guess.
She's a manipulator. Esther, stop me.
Her game.
Do you want to play?
On July 24th, discover the secret of the orphan.
Going somewhere, kid?
Orphan rated R. Starts July 24th.
So it's basically The Good Son, except if Macaulay Culkin was replaced with a girl, pretty much. I mean, it's literally almost the same plot here. You have a story centering around a couple who, after the death of their unborn child, adopt a psychopathic 9-year-old girl with a mysterious past. She's played by Isabella Fuhrman, and the couple is played by Vera Farmiga and Peter Sarsgaard. Insert obvious situations where the kid has to show she's nice at the beginning, and then as time goes on, she reveals her evil side, including trying to kill as many people as she can and trying to ruin as many relationships as she can. And yeah, it's pretty much what you think it is, and it really isn't anything that spectacular. At least to me, it didn't really wow. I completely lost my train of thought there. It didn't really wow me at the time, and even though there's good people involved in the filmmaking of this, you have Jamie Collette Sarah, who could be a very good, fun director overall, and David Leslie Johnson, who of course is now more known for his work with the Conjuring series, and also the DC Extended Universe with the Aquaman movies. The film overall is fine, I guess. I mean, there's nothing really that bad about it per se, but just nothing really about it made me say, oh, I'm glad I saw this movie. I'm just kind of like, I mean, you made a better version of The Good Son, I guess you could probably say about that. And it did find an audience eventually. I mean, it came and went when it first came out, but then the prequel came out in 2022, not but a couple of years ago, and that turned out to be a much bigger hit than anybody was really expecting, and actually got a lot better reviews than this movie did. So I guess now this is officially a franchise overall. So I mean, there you go. That's the power of, letting a film stand around for a little bit, even though it wasn't successful at first. Let time go by, and all of a sudden, here you go. Here's another one of those movies that becomes a franchise down the road. I mean, it's quite different from what I've been talking about before with most sequels that come way after. Like, this isn't like Beverly Hills Cop or Coming to America, where it's just being made because of the namesake. Hell, they just announced the Practical Magic sequel's coming out next year. Why? Like, what memorability does that movie have in particular? Oh, because Disney had Hocus Pocus 2 coming a couple years ago. Again, another pointless sequel. But this, I guess somebody found it. I guess an audience did find their way to this at some point, since this is now continuing into a franchise that is now going to have another film coming up after this. After, I think they're already starting to shoot it, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that's all I got for you on this one. That is Orphan. So let's go ahead and move on to the last movie that we have here, which is Armando Iannucci's In the Loop.
General Flintstone. Have you even killed anybody? Yeah. Well, before I sleep with someone, that doesn't count. I will marshal all the forces of darkness to hound you to an assisted suicide.
Finally, the epic battle between Doctor Who and Tony Soprano that everybody was asking for, am I right? Okay, maybe not, but you do have Tony Soprano and Doctor Who in here, James Gandolfini and Peter Capaldi. The U.S. President and the U.K. Prime Minister fancy a war, but not everyone agrees that war is a good thing. The U.S. General Miller doesn't think so, and neither does the British Secretary of State for International Development, Simon Foster, But after Simon accidentally backs military action on TV, he suddenly has a lot of friends in Washington, D.C. If Simon can get in with the right DC people, if his entourage of one can sleep with the right intern, and if they can both stop the Prime Minister's cheap spin doctor Malcolm Tucker rigging the vote at the UN, they can halt the war. If they don't, well, they can always sack the Director of Communications, Judy, whom they never liked anyway, and who's back home dealing with voters with blocked drains and a man who's angry about a collapsing wall. What a bizarre concept that is. And this is supposedly based off of a television series by Iannucci from Britain called The Thick of It, which I have never seen before. But if you know this person very well, you may have seen the TV series Veep, which was a big hit in the last decade. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was great on that show. Won several Emmys for comedy series, and she got several for actress in a comedy series. So very much of that style of humor is in this movie. It's a very funny, smart political satire comedy featuring a ton of great casting in this, with Capaldi, Tom Hollander, James Gandolfini, Anna Klumsky, who we'll later see in Veep, David Raish, Zach Woods from pre-Silicon Valley. Just really, really solid cast in this movie. And it is really funny, too. It's a funny satire of British American politics. It feels very much they're trying to create their own little Doctor Strangelove in a way, except it's not as chaotic or over the top as that is, but this is still a lot better than some other movies that try to go this route of being satirical in politics but then they end up playing it way too safe in the end. This one doesn't really do that per se. It's a very well-made film, and if you've seen Iannucci's Veep, you definitely get a lot of sense of the comedy and the style of humor they have in here. It's a really good film. It's a really clever film. Even if you've never seen the TV series like I did, like I've never seen The Thick of It, you can still find a lot of good value to it overall. So it's one I definitely recommend checking out. That is In the Loop.
Ira, look how cute these girls are. Yeah, they look the same from back here.
Just keep writing your little jokes. You'll break through.
Shouldn't have lost all that weight. No one wants to watch Lance Armstrong do comedy.
He's a nervous wreck. He's got to go on.
Are you gonna go up?
Unfortunately, yes.
I have a hairy back. Looks like I'm wearing a parachute.
Is your act just designed to make sure no girl will ever sleep with you?
Hey, want to see all the death alongs? I know you think you're going to be happier when you get all your dreams, but I'm telling you, you look back at this and go, wow, I wish I was there again.
Laughter is such wonderful medicine.
You have a very scary accent.
If you have no other questions, I do have other patients.
I've been trying to build this cabinet I bought from you guys for like 6 months.
Kia, that's very funny.
Rated R. Starts July 31st.
The movie where Adam Sandler basically told everybody, hey, I can act. I don't need to keep doing these terrible movies that I've been known to be starring in for most of my career. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make fun of them so that I never have to do them again. And then the movie bombed. And then he would spend the next 10 years pretty much basically destroying all of his goodwill he had going from that point on, until he would eventually try again with another dramatic role in Uncut Gems, which did not get him an Academy Award nomination, which is a sin, because that movie definitely deserved one. And this one definitely deserves a lot more credibility, too, because it's a lot better than its reputation is actually set to be. This is back when Judd Apatow was making a lot of good movies as a director, and this was his third film as a director, and he knocked it out of the park with this one. Adam Sandler plays a famous comedian who is diagnosed with leukemia, and he tries to fix a relationship in his life with his ex-fiancée, played by Leslie Mann, while also befriending an aspiring comedian played by Seth Rogen. We also have characters played by Eric Bana, Jonah Hill, and Jason Schwartzman among the cast in here as well. And basically it's a modern equivalent of something like Punchline, that Tom Hanks Sally Field movie that also got sadly overlooked when it came out in 1988, which is criminally underrated. Definitely seek that one out. This is a film that deserves a lot more attention than it got. I mean, it did not perform well at the box office. It was a bomb, and like I said, it was basically Adam Sandler, giving up on trying to go for a more dramatic role and sticking with comedies for the next decade, even though a lot of them were really not that good. In fact, some of them were downright terrible, and some of them ended up being the worst movies of specific years. But it doesn't matter, man, because this movie really did work and show what Adam Sandler could do in a more dramatic role. This isn't Punch Drunk Love or even Uncut Gems style levels of his performance in here, but it's him doing a performance where you feel like he's trying his best here to try to salvage his career, trying to show everybody that I could be dramatic and it could work. Just the fact that it didn't do well really bums me out, because this was a movie that really is very underrated. It's a film that is so damn good. All the performances in here are great. Seth Rogen is usually very good in a film like this. He's proven time and time again he can be good in I say dramatic, but this is still kind of this is still a comedy too. But it's more in this vein of something like a Knocked Up or the 40-Year-Old Virgin. And Leslie Mann, you know, she appears in her husband's movies all the time, but you forget that she can be really good in other movies too. And here, she really does play it well here. She plays it very good here. Eric Bana's also really good in the movie. You know, him coming off of the Hulk and all that. You know, him proving that, hey, he can still be a good actor too. You know, a good cast all around here. There's really not any major complaints I have towards the movie. I just don't think people were ready for that kind of Adam Sandler anymore. They just wanted to go back to making stupid comedies again. And sure enough, the very next summer, he follows it up with Grown Ups, which ended up becoming a massive hit. And like I said, it was him just going back to that for the rest of the decade of the 2010s, which sucked because there has been some times where he's trying to branch out and just nobody's willing to give him that opportunity to do that and show what he can do. And the film literally is just him satirizing his career, but of course, because it didn't do well, he essentially went back to making movies that were parodies of the films that were in this movie. Like, okay, we don't have the movie where he turns into a baby, but we have Jack and Jill. We have movies where he's literally going on vacation just for the making movies just for the vacation. I mean, that's literally what those movies in the 2010s were basically at. Say what you will about his movies from the 2000s, but the guy was trying to make you laugh, and for the most part, he did succeed at it. There were more decent comedies in the 2000s than there was compared to the 2010s. I mean, the 2010s was bad for Sandler in terms of his movies in general. I mean, most of them were pretty bad, and we're going to get to a lot of those in the decade to come, But bottom line here is that the movie really is good. It's a good mix of comedy and drama. The cast overall is great. People criticize the runtime for the film. It's not that long. I mean, it's a long movie, but if it's a good movie, you don't even notice it. And it is a really good movie. Yeah, it's nearly 2 hours and 30 minutes long, but at the same time, are you enjoying the movie? Because I was certainly enjoying it. I didn't even realize it was that long of a film, because the movie is moving at a smooth enough pace overall. There was a lot of good people involved in this that know how to keep you invested in the storyline here. We've seen time and time again, Judd Apatow is a really good director. Granted, his last couple movies have not been that strong, but he was on a good hot streak for much of the time before we got to COVID. I mean, that's kind of where the slide started to begin with The King of Staten Island and also the Bubble. But overall, this is still a really good movie, and one that definitely deserves a lot more attention than I think it doesn't get. I mean, it's a really good movie. It shows what Adam Sandler can do as a more dramatic actor. It shows what all these people can do in a more serious role in general. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. Not really dramatic, but more serious, and not just playing stock characters we've seen done before so many times. This is a really good movie. It's one that I really hope gets a lot more recognition in the years to come. It's Adam Sandler doing what we want to see Adam Sandler doing. We don't want to see him starring in stupid comedies, but I'm just going to tell you right now, brace yourself, because the next decade of Adam Sandler comedies is not going to be pretty at all. There's going to be a couple of movies that do work, but they are very few and far between, so buckle yourself in for that one. But in the meantime, go see Funny People. It's a really good movie. So, with that said, speaking of bad comedies, we don't even need to wait for Adam Sandler to start making some bad ones. The next one we have here is a movie that is so terrible, it is only the second time that I've ever walked out of a movie. And, I've kind of talked about this already, so we can pretty much run through this one quickly. Aliens in the Attic.
There's the pool. See ya.
The Pearsons were on the ultimate family vacation.
Well, surprise, surprise, princess.
What are you doing here?
Ricky!
Whoa, what's up with the car?
Lame.
But there's one little problem. Someone else checked in first. Oh, hello, humans.
Please tell me you see that too.
We come in pieces. Attack the humans! On July 31st, it's the aliens.
What the?
Where do they come from?
Versus the Pearsons.
An entire fleet of those guys are about to invade.
Got it. Don't got it.
This guy doesn't fit in with the others.
Everyone, gear up.
In the main event
Cover me.
With the race?
of the summer.
Bring it, puny human.
shot at us. They're mind control plugs.
We hereby claim your planet as our own. From 20th Century Fox and Regency Enterprises. Here's
I don't need this controller.
Game on.
Game over.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the point where I walked out of the theater. Just like how the cat got killed in the spirit in one of the stupidest ways possible, that was the moment where I said, I can't take it anymore. I gotta get the hell on out of here. Aliens in the Attic. As I said before, I kind of touched on this already, so I'll be brief on this one. It's about the Pearsons, a family whose busy lifestyles leads their dad, played by Kevin Nealon, to say that a family vacation is needed. So the dad, the younger sister Hannah, teenage son Tom, and older sister Bethany, played by Ashley Tisdale, along with her boyfriend Ricky, all go to their vacation home. But shortly after the Pearsons arrive at their sprawling summer home, however, things start to get strange as dark clouds start to swirl overhead. 4 glowing objects blast through the skies on a collision course with the Pearsons' roof, and so the alien invasion and the bullshittery begins. And what follows is an annoying-ass alien played by Josh Peck. You know, he was good in the Ice Age movies, and he was tolerable, but here... oh, he gets on your nerves so goddamn fast. And that scene that I walked out, is that made me walk out of the movie. The Mortal Kombat fight scene with a mind-controlling Ray's mom from Everybody Else Raymond, Doris Roberts. And it's some of the worst stunt work I have ever seen in my life. This is about as bad of a movie as you can get. It made me so furious to walk out of this movie, because I could not believe that the studio thought you were that stupid to go and see this film. Like, that's how bad this movie is. It's a movie that's so terrible. It panders to kids on the worst possible levels, and it's just... it's one of the worst things ever. Like, say what you will about the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, but those movies were at least trying to do something. At least the first couple movies were. This is just noise, annoyances, lame jokes, just comedy that just didn't work at all, and... nothing clever came out of it. Nothing smart came out of it. Nothing. It's like, this is a movie that literally is insulting the intelligence of of the audiences that they're trying to appeal to. And nobody went to go see the film, which thank God for that, because I couldn't imagine this continuing on into a series, even as a direct-to-DVD series. Can you imagine how much lazier the budget on this would have gotten if they made direct-to-DVD sequels of this? Just... yeah, not much more to say about that one. If you want to hear what I had to say about this movie in full, there's the link to the Reviewing Network that talks about the 5th worst movie of all time that I've seen, and that's Aliens in the Attic. So, let's go ahead and end this on a much more positive note. Let's take a look at our last film that we have here, and that is The Collector. Yeah, sorry for the sucky-ass commercial there, but that's taken from the DVD preview for that. But this is The Collector, which, believe it or not, was actually originally supposed to be a spin-off prequel to the Saw franchise as an origin story for the character of Jigsaw. However, the producers opposed the idea, and it led to the script getting reworked into an original story. This was originally a Lionsgate release, and they passed on it. So they passed it off, and Freestyle Releasing picked it up, and... it was a smart move, because the film they actually got was a really good movie. And I would say it's better than some of the more recent Saw sequels that were coming out. But you follow a handyman, Arkin O'Brien, played by Josh Stewart, who in order to pay a debt decides to rob a house, only to find out somebody with far more sinister intentions has already broken in and rigged it with multiple traps. So it's kind of like Home Alone meets Saw in real life, not just like, you know, how some people saw the Home Alone traps, like literally like Saw in some ways. But no, this is literally like that, and... it's an intensely good movie. It is a film that kind of comes out of nowhere. It comes from the writers of the lesser Saw films, so you don't really expect a whole lot, but man, do they deliver here. I mean, this is a really entertaining movie. You do get attached to the characters involved in here. You do get involved with their situations. And the Collector himself is an intriguing antagonist. The guy who set these traps up here is a really intriguing, interesting person in general to keep your eye on. And it just works. It's a very good film. Excuse me. But, yeah, it's a film that yeah, not much more to say about it, man. It's a really good movie. It's a film that, you know, Lionsgate passed on it, and it's probably one of their big mistakes of passing on it, because it eventually spawned a little bit of a franchise of their own, because the next film would come out a couple years later. Never seen it before, so I don't know if it's any good or not, but this one is really good. It's one I definitely recommend checking out. If you like the original Saw movies and the intentions of what they were trying to do with it, you're definitely going to find a lot to admire about The Collector. I think it's a very good movie, one that definitely deserves to be seen, so yeah, definitely check it out, The Collector.